Okay, so let's go over ratio and proportion, as these were the questions that you required assistance on primarily. Okay, so this information can be found in chapter 4 of your textbook, but let's just quickly go through what a ratio and proportion is. So when you were asked to solve the questions that have, mils over milligrams equals mils over X milligrams, what we're doing is we're saying we've got a ratio and a proportion here, okay? So what is a ratio? It's a way of showing the relationship between two numbers, okay? And a proportion is, it demonstrates the relationship between those two ratios, okay? So I have an example here of 100 milligram tablets, okay? So this means that one tablet is 100 milligrams and can be expressed in various ways. So we've got this way right here, one tab is 100 milligrams. This way right here, one tab is 100 milligrams. Or this way right here, 100 milligrams is one tablet, okay? This is a ratio. And then the proportion that we've got, this is our proportions right here. Okay, so it's showing the relationship between those two ratios. So if one tablet is 100 milligrams, okay, then 2 tablets is 200 milligrams. And we can write that just like we have right here, okay? So that right there is what you're going to see a lot of in veterinary medicine and in your math here, okay? We just don't always write it this way, but we say it this way, and we don't often think of how we're doing it, but this is what we're going to do. So if I have a question here, one tablet is 100 milligrams equals 500 milligrams is how many tablets, okay? So let's solve this. So let's write it in a way that we have up here, okay? So one tab is 100 milligrams equals X tabs and 500 milligrams, okay? So how come I wrote it like this? I can't have the 500 milligrams on the top because in a true proportion, the values have to be the same. So I have to have tabs on top and milligrams on the bottom, okay? Or vice versa, whichever way we want to do that. Okay, so then how does this become that? So now we're going to cross multiply, okay? So cross multiply in order to have this be solved. So we've got one tablet, 500 milligrams, okay? And then we've got X tab and 100 milligrams, okay? And we need to have our X tabs by itself in order for us to be able to solve for it. So X tab equals, in order to get this 100 milligrams by itself, or out of this side of our equation, we need to divide it by itself, okay? And whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other. So X tabs equals 1 tab 500 milligrams divided by 100 milligrams, okay? So we can get rid of our milligrams because they are the same value, okay? So X is 500 essentially divided by 100, which equals 5 tablets, okay? So there we have that right there. And we've solved this question, okay? Perfect. So let's do another one, okay? We've got, let's determine the X in this following proportion. This one is very common in veterinary medicine, 250 milligrams and 5 mils. This is a common strength for ampicillin, okay? So what we're saying in this question is, if we know that 250 milligrams is in 5 mils, how many milligrams are in, or sorry, how many mils are 135 milligrams, okay? So let's do the same thing that we did before, okay? And then let's solve this. So we've got 250 milligrams and 5 mils equals 135 milligrams in X mils. Okay, so we can see these values are the same. Now we're going to cross multiply again. Okay, so then we've got X mils, 250 milligrams equals 135 milligrams, and 5 mils. Okay, so then X equals 135 milligrams times 5 mils and 250 milligrams. Okay, so we get rid of those values, and X becomes 2.7 mLs, because what we did was we did 135 times 5, which equals 675, and then we have to divide it by that 250, okay, which gives us 2.7 mils. All right, so let's do another one. Okay, so we're going to do 15 milligrams and 1.3 mLs equals 22 milligrams and X mLs. Okay. So 15, 1.3, always making sure that we're transcribing our questions correctly, because if we don't, like in this one right here, we would have an error. If I wrote 13 mils, it would be a totally different answer, so we got to make sure that we're very accurate on that. Okay, so then X mil, 15 milligrams equals 22 milligrams and 1.3 mLs. Ignoring my little dot right there. Okay. And then we're going to get rid of this. Okay. So then we've got 22 times 1.3 divided by 15. Okay, so 22 times 1.3 divided by 15 gives us 1.90666667. So we're going to make that into a value that we can drop in a syringe. Okay, so X is going to be 1.91 mils. Okay, so and the reason why I did this when we're doing our rounding, let's leave it at that. So because the hundredth we can still drop in a tuberculin syringe or easily, for the math's sake, we're just going to say round it up, okay? And because this is greater, it's 5 or greater, this one is going to become a 1. So that leads us to that answer right there, okay? So we've got that, which is great. Okay.